Welcome to Here Comes the Boom, a KSR and KSR Plus recruiting podcast, your go-to for all Kentucky basketball recruiting news. Before we get into it, be sure to go and subscribe to KSR Plus. We've got a great deal going, $1 for 7 days and 50% off for a full year. So be sure to go and subscribe. We're going to have constant recruiting information, constant basketball content with the season underway. So be sure to go check that out. We've got a great show for you today. We're having Kentucky assistant coach Cody Fueger on to talk about some of the players that Kentucky is bringing in this early signing period. But before we do all that, let's talk about our friends at My Perfect Franchise. Thank you to today's sponsor, our friend Andy Ludicky at My Perfect Franchise. Andy is a huge college sports fan and franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses. Using his expertise, he helps others find their American dream through a very thorough consultation and evaluation process. If you are wanting to find a way out of corporate America, wanting a side hustle business or a way to diversify, reach out to Andy, as he's got a ton of knowledge in this world. And best of all, his services are 100% free to you always. You can learn more or reach Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. All right, let's talk about some minor recruiting notes. First off, Kentucky has signed its early signing period class, Caden Lewis, Jasper Johnson, and Malachi Moreno. We're going to talk to Cody Fueger about each of those guys shortly. Another recruiting update, Caleb Wilson, one of the final guys that Kentucky's pursuing in this 2025 class, is now down to 5 schools: Kentucky, North Carolina, Ohio State, UCF, and Tennessee. A decision is expected sometime maybe December, January, now that the early signing period has passed. He's in no rush, but expect that to happen sometime in the next few months, and I continue to feel good about Kentucky's chances. I have a prediction over on the On3 recruiting prediction machine that he lands at Kentucky, and I've had that in for about a month. Nothing's changed there. I still feel good about where Kentucky stands. But that's really about it on the recruiting front. All eyes are on Caleb Wilson, and we'll see what happens from there. But let's get into it with Kentucky assistant coach Cody Fueger. Let's see what he has to say. Welcome back. I'm now joined by Kentucky assistant coach Cody Fueger. Cody, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, for sure, man. Happy to be on here with you guys.
Well, so the early signing period just wrapped up. You guys have 3 commits in this class so far. 3 guys signing: Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno, and Caden Lewis. So I want to ask you, just to start off, how this class came together and what's it been like recruiting now that you're here at Kentucky?
Man, we're really excited about this class. It was obviously it's a whirlwind because we started on the 25s kind of late. Our first 2 months, month and a half was try to sign 12 players to this place right when we got here for this 2024 class. And then, for an hour or two and maybe for a weekend, with those recruiting periods, we got to see some of these 24s. But we wanted to build a relationship, and we know we wanted some, high-level talent right away to start out our first 2025 class here with some young freshmen that are going to chance to be really special, really good players. We knew we wanted to, we had 2 local kids that we wanted to really get because first off, they were great basketball players. Second of all, they're Kentucky kids, and they fit the way, Coach Pope wanted us to play. So we were extremely excited about trying to recruit, Malachi and Jasper Johnson. They're, KY till I die, both those guys. So we were really excited about them. And then Caden Lewis is somebody that we saw in April, spent a ton of time watching film on him, and we saw him at the top 100 camp, and we're like, man, we have to get this kid. He is extremely talented, plays the right way, can really shoot it, can really score it, high IQ, high-level player. So that's somebody we're really excited about also.
And I want to start by asking about Malachi, first commitment in the class. What stands out to you the most about his game, and what did you see in him that kind of made you want to have him as the building block for this class?
Malachi, I feel like, is the best center in the class. We feel like he is unselfish And that's the type of players we want to have. We want to have guys that are unselfish, that are team first, and that's Malachi. We think he's a really good passer. We feel like he makes his team better. Like, that's what he does. He makes his teammates better. So that's somebody that we were really excited about. And, he loves everything Kentucky. He loves it all. So we're super excited to have him here. He's got an incredible family. His brother was a high-level basketball player. So we're extremely love getting to know him and his mom. And that's somebody that is going to have a great career at University of Kentucky.
Now you got Jasper Johnson and Caden Lewis in that backcourt. How do you see those two playing alongside each other, and how do you see them complementing each other?
Well, one thing I'm pretty excited about, to tell you the truth, is I've never coached two lefties in the backcourt, so I'm kind of excited about that. That's something different. But I think they complement each other well. They're both extremely unselfish. Like I said, that's a huge thing for our program, is making plays for our teammates, and that's what both those guys can do. Jasper Johnson is about as dangerous as it comes as a basketball player, because he can shoot it from wherever. And he can score in many different ways. He's a really good passer, and he's getting better defensively. So that's going to be extremely helpful for how we play. And then we've got a Caden Lewis, like I talked about, very unselfish, plays the right way. He's got a demeanor on the court that coaches feel, and that his teammates, he's got ultimate confidence. We're excited about having him.
And I know that Caden had some questions after Jasper's commitment about how the two of them would play alongside each other, and then they played together at that Dame Lillard camp. How much of that is a factor in your recruiting, about kind of having these players having chemistry with each other when you're recruiting them?
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of been a thing. It's coming more and more, to tell you the truth. Like, how am I going to play with this guy? It wasn't like that, a couple years ago, not as much, but now I feel like everybody is just, how am I going to play with this guy? How am I going to play with that guy? And what they're not doing that is in the NBA, other than when it's like Kevin Durant and like the top guys. So that's just interesting to see. Is I hope it gets back to where, like, I'm going to go try to be a huge part on helping a team win. But yeah, like everyone at first is like, how am I going to fit in with this guy? Because he's a shooter and he's a scorer. Well, you got 5 guys on the court at all times, so there's got to be a way. So, we painted how we are going to play, and we don't want to talk about any other players or this and that. We're going to talk about how we are going to play as a team, unselfish and playing for each other. And that's how we're going to play it. And, people that want to be here at University of Kentucky, they're going to play that way.
Going off of that, I've talked to a lot of recruits that have mentioned kind of the focus on play style in your staff's recruiting pitch, showing game film of your guys' games and their games. So how much do these recruits already know about your system, and how much of that is a focus in the recruiting pitch?
I mean, that's a huge part, right? Because we play very similar to NBA style. We don't like to have a lot of sets and plays. We don't love that. We don't love that at all. So we want to hit home with, we're teaching guys how to play basketball at the end of the day, how these defenses guarding you and what we're looking for. And we're always trying to put pressure on the rim, but we're trying to shoot 35 threes a game. Now, we're not getting there yet. We shot 25 the last 2 games. Now, a couple of these were getting fouled at the three-point line, so we really had 28 the other night. But yeah, back to your first question, that's a huge part is our offense, because we want a free-flowing, and we're trying to get 35 threes up a game. Like, it's an exciting style. Like, even a ref grabbed me before our last home game, and he's like, man, every kid is going to want to play in this style, this system. And I think Coach Pope does an incredible job of keeping our guys confident that way, and it's a fun style.
And so I know you recruited basically this whole roster, showing them that BYU film. How much easier is it now pitching to recruits that you have some film at Kentucky to show them, including that Duke win?
Yeah, that part was not fun, right? You got to show the BYU film, like this is how we play, this is how we develop guys, this and that, and a lot of that was from the BYU stuff, which was really good. It was really high level, but you want to be at University of Kentucky, like we want to show University of Kentucky stuff. So that's been fun to send out clips of Ortega, Jackson, Amari, you name it, down the line of guys in our uniform, in our gym, or playing against Duke, whatever it is. Now we're able to send that off.
And then I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, being on Here Comes the Boom, about those boom gifts. How did those come about, and what's been the reaction that you've gotten since you started putting those out?
It really took a life out of its own. Like the first boom was actually for Ortega Owe. And, I've always been doing gifts, like every recruit, Utah Valley, BYU, all that stuff. And then Ortega Owe committed, but I didn't release anything out until I think it was on the way back from visiting with Lamont Butler that I sent one out, and Lamont committed too. So I sent one, I think, a little bit after that or the next day or something. So I don't know, our big BBN just lost their minds during it. And I feel like everybody's doing that now. Everybody's saying boom. Like I saw, Auburn's jumped in. Ohio State football is releasing like big boom things for their recruiting class. So it's been kind of crazy to see that.
And then the last thing I want to ask about is just what has surprised you the most about recruiting now that you're at Kentucky?
Oof. What has surprised me the most? Man, that's a good question. I always kind of felt like, man, being at Kentucky, I bet it's this way. Being at, these blue buds, I bet it's this way. And it's pretty similar to what I was thinking, to tell you the truth. Like, people want to be here. People want to be a part of Kentucky. I guess the biggest change in the last couple of years, honestly, is just this NIL deal, which has just changed that. A lot of teams that didn't have chances before, they have chances because of the money deal. But people want to be here, which is so special, and you can get involved with every conversation. That's the best part. And then now our playing style, and you add so many things, and man, it's really fun. I guess the biggest thing is that every time I'm doing something, you guys are being like, all right, he's at this gym, he's watching this guy. Now, sometimes you guys are wrong. I'm not watching that guy sometimes, but I would say that's the biggest thing that was surprising is, that it's being reported everything we're doing.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to keep following you guys, and excited to see how this 2025 recruiting class unfolds. Thank you so much.
For sure. Anytime, guys.
Final thought. Actually, our producer, Stephen Peak, asked me about how I come to my recruiting prediction machine predictions. Obviously, I got one in for Caleb Wilson. It's really just about intel, and I'm not confident enough to put in a recruiting prediction until I have multiple people tell me that they believe a certain recruit is going to commit to a certain school. There have been points when I put in a prediction, things change in recruitment, and I'll change that prediction. That can always happen. And one thing that is helpful is that On3 allows you to set a certain confidence rating on a percentage scale, 0 to 100. So when there's a recruit that I think is going to go to a school, but maybe I don't have it on great authority, I can lower that confidence rating. But expect to see a lot more predictions in the coming months, coming years, because we're going to stay on top of all of it at KSR Plus. Go ahead and subscribe to KSR Plus. Be sure to subscribe to the KSR YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon.